Hey everyone, Brian with theunlocker.com here today with our full review of the Samsung Galaxy Player 4.0. Now there are two different versions of the Samsung Galaxy Player. There's the 4.0 version, which we have here, which has a 4.0 inch super clear LCD display with a resolution of 480 by 800. And then there's a 5.0 version, which has a 5-inch display at the same resolution. Now to speak a little bit more about the display, this display I anticipated was going to be a step down from the Super AMOLED displays that were in the original Samsung Galaxy S. You take out a nice display that was widely renowned as being a top-notch display, and you replace it with an LCD display, your initial thoughts are bound to be bad. But this is actually a really nice display. You can see here the viewing angles are almost 180 degrees. So viewing angles are very good. The colors are very rich and very vibrant. And you can see here, and this might be a little bit of a bad example because we've got a very dark live wallpaper here. But colors are represented very well. Slightly oversaturated in some cases, but that typically is not a problem and is usually welcomed. I certainly like a little bit of oversaturation on the colors versus undersaturated colors that you get on most LCD displays. Now on the actual device, we'll take a quick tour. We do have on the right hand side, we've got our power key. On the top we've got our 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and then we've got this little door again for our micro USB charging and data sync cable. And on the left hand side we've got our volume rocker, and then on the bottom we've got our microphone. So it's pretty similar design in terms of what the Samsung Galaxy S series of phone was. On the back we've got a couple of different little differences. We've got two stereo speakers in the back, where on the original Samsung Galaxy S we only had one speaker. And then we've got a 3.2 megapixel camera that is not capable of shooting 720p. So that's a bit of a downfall. We'll talk a little bit more about the camera later. But overall design, styling, and the display, I've been really impressed with. Now the camera that's on this device, like I said, it is a 3.2 megapixel camera. It does not shoot in 720p like the iPod Touch does, but the iPod Touch has a pretty just absolutely awful camera in terms of still quality. I believe it's a 0.7 megapixel still camera, which definitely has always been a baffling point for me. I'm not sure why Apple chose to put that type of camera in that device other than obviously cost. But the Galaxy Player wins when it comes to still image quality, and it loses to the iPod Touch when it comes to video quality. In terms of overall performance, I've been quite impressed with this device. It's got a single core 1 gigahertz Hummingbird processor, and it does run pretty quickly. I mean, we've got a live wallpaper here with falling leaves, and as you move through your home screens, you zoom in on this little bird's nest here, and it's actually quite smooth. There's a lot of devices, even dual-core devices, like the Droid 3, for instance, which absolutely you just would not want to put a live wallpaper on because it just can't handle it. And this handles it quite well. Now the biggest downfall to this device, in my opinion, is the fact that it's running this ugly, just awful TouchWiz 3.0 interface. And I really wish they would have either left it vanilla Android, which is not likely for Samsung to do on a non-Nexus device, or at least put 4.0 on here, because 3.0, the customization options just aren't there. It's ugly in my opinion. I don't like all the squares that are behind the applications. It's a little too iOS for me. And I mean, frankly, I mean, you've got this little red places icon on top of this green box, and it just doesn't look appealing. I mean, the colors are kind of random. You get groups of green here that are kind of grouped up together, and then you get like a random yellow and a random blue and that kind of thing, and it's just not too appealing to me. Shouldn't be enough to sway anyone from buying the device, but it is something to keep in in the back of your mind. I mean, there's no way for us to edit this screen into an alphabetical order. So you can see here, I've got things that are all kinds of messed up in terms of alphabetical order because they're listed in terms of what was downloaded to the device first. Now you can manually move each one, so we could grab navigation and we could bring it and put it wherever we want to. So we could theoretically go through and alphabetize everything ourselves, but really that's pretty stupid considering that that could have been a fairly easy command that could have been put in the settings here, but it's not there. So it's just something to keep in mind that TouchWiz 3.0 really isn't the best interface that could be on this device. Now, when it comes to audio, this device, I mean, it's got stereo speakers, so it's got a better audio experience without using headphones than most Android phones do, because most Android phones just have one single speaker that's used for speakerphone and those kind of functions that you can play music out of, but it typically doesn't sound very good. This definitely does sound a little bit better. It's still not great. You're probably going to want to use headphones with this device, but I've tried it with headphones, without headphones. It's a little bit more on the treble side. There's not a whole lot of hard-hitting bass or anything, even if you've got headphones. So if loud bass is important to you, the iPod Touch definitely does a better job. But overall sound quality has been really fantastic. Now, if we remove the back cover, you can see we've got a 1200 milliamp hour battery, which isn't a huge battery. It's definitely on the smaller side, but in my experience, battery life has been pretty good. If you're using this off and on, you're certainly going to be able to use it all day, maybe 2 days without needing a charge. Not having a cellular radio definitely helps a lot in terms of battery life. If you've got a strong Wi-Fi signal and you're not syncing a whole lot of different accounts and things like that, then you're going to find battery life is pretty good. If you've got your display set to max brightness and you're constantly leaving the display on for web browsing and things like that, obviously you're going to get shorter battery life. But in terms of audio playback, this device should last you for a good long while. And in terms of video playback, you're probably going to be able to get through 2 full-length movies at max brightness, and that's not bad. So all in all, the battery life is pretty good on this device, and I would definitely put it on par with any other media players of this size on the market. So I guess the question is, where does this leave us with the Samsung Galaxy Player? Don't even say the word, iPod killer. That's just absolutely stupid. It's not here to kill the iPod. The iPod Touch is a very good device in its own right, but it's a different platform than what Samsung Galaxy S or the Samsung Galaxy Player is going after. If you're heavily invested in iTunes and heavily invested into iOS, and you have other iOS devices, then I'm telling you, go with the iPod Touch. If you are heavily invested into Android, which isn't as easy to do because the ecosystem is just not quite there. But if you are invested in Android, you've purchased a lot of apps for other devices, then you might want to consider just sticking with what you have. In terms of switching platforms for either device, if I was an Apple fan, I don't think the Samsung Galaxy Player could sway me. And if I was an Android fan, I don't think there'd be any reason not to go with the Samsung Galaxy Player and move over to iOS. So, like I said, if you're already invested in one technology or one camp or the other, then don't bother switching. You've got a device that's suitable for you. If you're up in the air, then you might want to go to the store, play with both of them, and see which one feels better in your hands, see which one you like better. The iPod Touch is going to be a smaller device, a slimmer device. And the Samsung Galaxy Player is going to have a larger screen, a removable battery, micro SD expansion, so you can buy an 8 gig model now and then add $30 to it in the future and be able to increase your storage by 16 gigabytes, whereas you can't do that with the iPhone. So really, it's going to be a personal preference. Both devices are very good, and we've hoped this review's helped you. This is Brian with theunlocker.com, and we'll see you next time.